they shift side to side a lot, right? So it makes them really unstable.
I just don't give her enough help there.
So that's what I'm just going to go over is how we get her. Our job as a rider is to interrupt the core use or the dysfunction of the spine. But then she has to discover the coordination. We can't just make them do the coordination. It's very complex. It's happening deep inside their body. So the thought that we put the horse together isn't really accurate. So our job in the saddle, you can think of having a level or a board or a teeter-totter that we have to stabilize. That's our seat bone staying level, even as she creates upward force one side or the other. Job number one, okay? Because that's how you get them out of extension, is you reduce the rotation. The other half of that is a straight line of force from her head to your seat bones. So stabilizing the neck, so she doesn't sling the neck side to side. If she goes high-headed, then one of the ways we set her up for the transition is first if we put her straight on a tight circle. So on the circle, our job is to still maintain a level saddle and a straight neck. If we get that on a circle, what happens is the legs, all four legs, have to not only stride forward, but forward on a little bit of an angle. Okay, so it's like if you take your, if I arch my back and disengage the pelvis, I can still put my legs straight forward. This is the problem of keeping her on the rail when you want the transition. Okay, so if I walk like this, I can still go forward. If I take this leg and I have to go here with it, forward at an angle, I can't keep that disengagement, right? So if you take your leg, when you put it in front of your other leg, you'll feel it involves the hip joint and the low back, right? So it's an exaggeration because we don't see them do this on a circle. But if we keep the center line, the neck straight to a level saddle, then as you track a circle with that happening through the spine, her legs have to lightly adduct and abduct, right? That's how you improve the engagement of the hind legs and begin to widen the front legs. That's what's going to set her up for the transition. So if she goes on the circle and she's high-headed, we can interrupt the use of that extension in her spine by overbending the neck to the inside or the outside. We'll figure out which one works better. And when we overbend the neck, it makes extension, which is downward of the spine, and flexion, upward of the spine, impossible. Right? So that's how we interrupt extension. So it's not to supple the horse, it's not a precursor to lateral work at all. It's a jackknife to say you can't do that with your back. Okay? And if you can steer, then when she lengthens the neck, and she's going to go from extension, lengthen, and fall into long and low. Okay? Once she's in long and low, we can add pushing power to get the transition. But as soon as she goes here, we can't add more pushing power. Now we have to interrupt the extension again, right?
And that's what seems to always happen. We can get a good walk going, and then as soon as I ask for the transition.
Right, so that tells me we need to do it on a circle to set her up to figure out how to push into the trot rather than pull into the trot. The circle will help with that. Yeah, because it's going to help her place the legs differently than her habit.
Okay, so that's what she's trying to push in.
She's trying to pull into the trot
instead
of pushing into the trot. Yeah, yeah. And that's a pretty strong habit in this horse. So to break that pattern, we're going to use overbending of the neck and a circle to make that too difficult for her to transition that way. Right? So we're going to take away her ability to transition that way. But then it takes some time for her to figure out exactly what to do.
Yeah, yeah.